Hey, everyone. This is Ebony Vaughn, and I come to you by way of Nexus Wellness Group. I hope that you guys are having an amazing start to your weekend. And as always, I come to you with a word of equipping, with a word of encouraging, and with a word that empowers. And today I want to talk about the importance of us being able to really manage our stress levels. Now, there is so much going on right now, whether it is on our jobs, in our families, in our businesses, in the community, my God, the government and all of the things associated with that. And we can find ourselves becoming tremendously overwhelmed by the climate in which we live in. We can find ourselves tremendously stressed out by the climate that we reside in, whether that climate be in the government, whether that climate be in school, or even in our families. And one of the things that I have always been very, very strategic with doing is if I can't change a situation, how can I change me in that situation? And I think that it is so important for us to ask ourselves that question, especially when we are in seasons of our lives where we can't necessarily change an outcome, right? And so we have to figure out how we can navigate it while still maintaining our peace, while still maintaining our joy and our commitment to ourselves. And this is something that I talk to people a lot about in our practice because I find that so many of us become consumed in our circumstances that we don't give ourselves permission to live above our circumstances. And living above our circumstances just simply means that we are choosing to be content in whatever state that we are in. And I know that some people might hear that and say it's easier said than done. And you're probably 100% right. But there has to be a level of intentionality with that. I have spoken with so many government workers that are stressed out, that are struggling with anxiety and, in some instances, loss of hopelessness, or even non-government workers, just life, dealing with life and life challenges. And I always ask them the question of what is it that you have control over and what is it that you don't have control over. And one of the struggles that we face when we are going through or when we feel ourselves overwhelmed and consumed is we're spending a lot of time on the areas that we can't control. And we don't always put all of our energy into the things that we can control. And so I truly believe that that is something that we have to ask ourselves the question too. The other part is what are you incorporating in your day? Is there gratitude? Is there a level of let me look at the best of this situation and focus on that as opposed to always focusing on what I don't have, what I don't want, and what's happening to me, right? Because a lot of times we spend too much energy on what's happening to me. And it always brings me to a conversation that I had with someone that was very dear to me years ago. And I was complaining about something that I was going through. And that person said to me, "You're not a victim. What you going to do about it?" And that is something that I often challenge those that I work with. And I even challenge myself in my life. Yes, there are things that happen that we have no control over, but then we have control over how we respond to it. We have control over what we're going to do about it. And we have control over how much we allow it to negatively impact our emotions and our mental state. And so all of these things are important and they're things that we need to focus on. So I'm going to go back to what I said originally. If you can't change the situation, how can you change you while you are still in the situation. Listen, I truly believe that all things work together for good to them that love God and to them that are called according to his purpose. And so, if we know that all things are working together for our good, we have to take that kingdom perspective, that heavenly perspective, in the worst scenario possible in order for us to demonstrate gratitude, in order for us to experience the grace of God in what we're going through, and also to give us hope that what we are going through, we won't always go through, right? And then we need the wisdom of God. We need the wisdom of God that enables us to see things in a different or a higher perspective. I hope that this was encouraging to someone. And I truly, truly believe that when we change ourselves and the way we see things in a difficult situation, we are often able to stomach it and navigate it in a much better place, which means we can continue to be content in whatever state we are in. God bless you, everyone, and have an amazing day.